Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today I bank our opportunity once again by Nick and Jake.
Howdy, howdy.
What's going on, y'all?
And today's matchup is Nick versus Tracy. Tracy couldn't join us today, unfortunately, so I'll kind of help out, talk about his matchup with Nick's input on what he experienced from Tracy, and we got Jake here to help us out as well. So let's get into today's matchup, which is Goku versus U7. There's buttons down below. Feel free to click it. But let's start off with why U7?
It's red. Red's good. And I didn't really have a chance to build anything new just because new set's coming out. This is our pre-release night, so I was like, let's just build what I have and just take it. And I haven't played U7 forever, ever since TCG Con was the last time I played it. So I just wanted to play something I knew, something that would do good.
It's been a while for you, yeah. I was actually surprised that you brought it. I thought you were bringing Gamma this week because this was our pre-release event, so.
Yeah, I mean, I could have, but I wanted to play something red.
Fair enough. And Tracy's been playing Goku for a while. I think he feels most comfortable with it right now, and probably the best choice for him to bring that deck for a potential, event like this.
Well, and he's on the same thought process as me. It's not really the right time to build anything new or test anything just because new products coming out. So there's no really reason to go janky right now just because there's a whole new set of cards coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, the yellow matchup has traditionally been pretty difficult into U7, though. Yellow doesn't really have a lot of elegant answers to U7's bombs, and the pressure comes so quickly that a lot of the defensiveness that yellow is known for doesn't really have a lot of time to go online.
Yeah, and you'll see in this match, he does really good with his defensive plays, because U7 can be really aggressive really quickly, and yeah, we just saw a whiff on his searching power, which, yeah, in a deck that runs about 15, 20 unisons, that's rough.
Yeah. And I know he's updated his deck more recently, because I think I saw him playing the Gohan and Trunks engine, which helps kind of search those out so he can have stuff once he awakens. But yeah, turn one not seeing Unison, it's kind of rough.
Yeah, and that really limits his defensive pieces because he does run the Final Sacrifice Goku, so he doesn't even have the opportunity to really negate and remove my board. So I'm pretty much wide open to do with whatever I want, so I can just spend one, do little pokes here with this dual attacking Frieza.
Yeah, being able to go first to kind of set that drop up for Frieza, it's pretty nice on pressure. And even if he was just able to establish Unison, knowing your gameplay style, you probably would have just taken it out with the Frieza.
Yeah, well, you don't really need to take out Unisons in this list, really, especially the Vegeta, because it'll draw him a card. So ideally, I mean, you could take him down to like one marker so he doesn't get much off of power. But a lot of times going against stuff like this and like Cooler, I've just been learned just to go aggressive, just go face. Let them waste their resources trying to stop my attacks instead of wasting mine on Unisons that'll just come back the next turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, Green Cooler especially can just really shotgun out a new Unison with a ton of markers for relatively low energy.
Yeah, and this list does the same thing, but yeah, there's not really a point to swinging to Unisons in this meta right now.
Having to burn Black Kamehameha in order just to get a draw and not go down to 4. Because he wants to do it himself in this situation.
Yeah, because that's another search for him, so he doesn't want to be in too low of a life total because I can just shotgun damage really quickly for nothing.
Yeah. Alternatively, he could try and forego playing a Unison early and take damage down to 3, and then try and defend himself off the card advantage. But that's a really risky play line overall, especially if the game goes all the way to turn 4 and you play that secret rare.
Well, and the problem with Goku going down that low is it doesn't have much combo power. So he could have a fat hand, but a lot of it could be dead card. especially at such a low energy total, like 2. Like he wouldn't be able to do much to defend himself if he went that low. So I think it was the right call to use the card so he has some life to work with.
Mm-hmm. And even with that, that's the difference between Dripku and Green Cooler, where the leader's auto can allow him to combo those cards. This one you can't unless you have the 3-drop Gohan on board, if correct. Now here, he still gets the search, which is nice, but it looks like he whiffed on that as well, which is just a bad night then.
Yeah, that was whiff number 2. He was saying curse words in his mind, I could tell.
But he's able to awaken. What is Gohan's marker ability again? I can't remember. Do you remember?
Yeah, so we've talked about putting this in, so he's trying it out too. The Gohan is an inherent blocker, and it has a +1 where it can restand itself at the end of the turn. And then it also has a permanent, it gains plus 2,000 power for each marker on during your turn. So you can essentially swing with it if you want to play it out. It's a good one to play off the rest ability because it'll restand, and then you have a blocker. And then it has a 3rd auto when it leaves the field. If there's another Unison coming in, you can grab the trunks that pairs with it from your deck. So it's a good filtering piece. So it thins your deck out a little bit more, but we talked about it, and both of us have kind of not really liked it. We didn't think it's impactful enough, at least in the list that we're playing.
Well, I mean, just giving it a +1 marker is always nice, and it seemed like he didn't do that.
Yeah, when we talked about it at the end of the game, he was under the assumption that it had to be at the end of the turn to do the +1. And I explained to him, no, you can do the +1 whenever, it's just you don't get the effect until the end of the turn. So that's when it triggers.
Gotcha. So he like passed turn, was like, yada yada yada. And it's like, sorry man, it's pre-release event. I'm trying to go for game.
Well, it's just something that I didn't realize either. I didn't know that that's what he was trying to do.
Gotcha. Okay. Now this is a smart play. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Jake? I'm sorry.
No, now I'm interested to see what's gonna happen next.
So, Nick, you play the Unison. You swing with the leader, getting that extra draw off the leader. But he released from evil, which means the attacking card loses its skills, can't restand. You can't awaken. You can't get the energy back up. You can't continue using effects on your leader side now. I think that was really smart.
Yeah, because typically the way I like to play the deck, because I like to use Unisons, is my turn 3, I'll play the Unison, swing with lead to get a draw, and then awaken to get more draw power and a one energy for defense. But he stopped me from doing that, which really caught me by surprise. But I still have the awaken ability on his turn, so it's not the end of the world for me. But it stopped my pressure from him, so which was really nice for him.
Unfortunately, you just have such a high life total here that the only play he can really make on his turn is to try and like remove your board and force you to replay a lot of stuff. And I mean, this Goku, I think, can do that. But
I want to actually bring out I don't know if he had a second extra card in his drop. Now I'm thinking about it.
He does. He played the Black Kamehameha.
That's
really
right.
early.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Okay, cool. I was
thinking, and we
like,
both thought of that too, because we were like, yeah, this is really early in the game. Were you able to get it off? But yeah, he was
getting the Goku out, not using his ability because like you're in a situation where you can't even swing with the card anymore. Yeah, it makes sense not to pop it.
And he was only at 1 marker anyway, so he didn't want to lose. So.
This way he could do the +1, and then which I've noticed about Tracy before. I need to talk to him about this. I've seen him do this a lot of times where he'll attack before even using anything from the Unison itself, because he could, just go ahead and +1 for the Empower 2 effect, but he will end up choosing just to attack and just switch the Unison out right away, which I guess depending on what you play, it doesn't really matter as much, because as long as you do the plus, it's at 3, and at that point, any Unison you play, for the exception of Gohan, is inherently just an Empower 2.
Well, and this is part of his mindset too. He thought the +1 was at the end of the
That's
turn.
Right. Yes, yeah, we talked about it earlier.
Yeah, so this is the same scenario where he just didn't realize that he could do the +1 early. And for here, I wanted to use the after image just because I'm at a high life total, so I could do it. It's no big deal. But it also keeps the battle step going, so I'm able to awaken on this swing and still be able to do stuff.
Here, like you mentioned earlier, you're able to get your Awaken out finally.
Yeah, and now I'm a little bit safer in case he wants to try to swing a face.
I don't know. Like, it's a tough choice too. Like, do you worry about trying to go for life here, or do you try to get rid of the Unison that could eat your cards up?
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I like the baby Unison, just because it can suck up anything, not ignoring barrier. It's a really strong form of removal, and then it's just infinitely sticky once you actually do the effects.
And if I recall correctly, like even if it were to lose a marker, as long as it has a battle card underneath it, you just pitch that card and it won't lose a marker.
Exactly. But some of the times you may not want to do that. You may want to take the marker just because it might be a key battle card that your opponent needs.
Yeah, there was a game I played of Jimmy when he was playing this baby Unison. I think it was in his Mutant Machine deck he made, and I don't remember what I was playing, but like the card my drop benefited me, and he was trying everything he could just to hold off and give me that card back.
Yeah, but it's a really nice form of protection.
Because you negged it already.
Off here.
Well, it's a 5K card at this point.
Still, I mean, I probably would have done the same thing, honestly. It just sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he knows that I'm able to remove it immediately, so he figured might as well just get rid of it.
I mean, because do you play the Vegeta in your deck?
Resolve renewed?
Oh,
No. The
crit one?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know when we played, I didn't see you play. I don't recall you playing it. So.
Well, that's a different story, but yeah. We don't talk about games on camera, Bancroft.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So at this point, I have a open board. I have pressure on board already, so now I can just poke with my cards on field before I even do any plays, just to see if he wants to floodgate me or do anything. Just having that type of presence is huge in this game right now, just because like you don't have to do anything. You don't have to waste any resources. You don't have to tap anything. You can just swing, let them bait out anything they want to play, and then you can go into your turn.
And he gets what I see, some decent cards in his hand. It's just the idea of trying to apply that pressure or at least get something to do something with.
Yeah.
And so, okay, you didn't have a response for it. Okay, I was like, man, it's always rough too because you always pay one counterplay and just neg it right out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or there's the Resolve Renewed, which would hit it too.
Yeah.
And I think I did have one in hand. I just didn't think it was worth wasting the resource on this. I wanted to see if there was going to be like a robotic repose or a final sacrifice. It would have been a much better target to hit.
Especially since I don't know how many you play in your list, but you did mill one earlier this turn. See, here comes the one from hand.
Which is smart because if it hit the board, he would have been able to just, if he wanted to Spirit Boost and KO one of your cards.
That's just part of the strength of U7, especially if you can carry your board from turn to turn, is like the access to some of the counterplays you get. Like, here you go again.
Yeah, he still gets the effect off with the Vegeta or the Frieza because it hit the board, but it's just one less piece for him to play with. And I'm still able to at least get a swing off just because the Resolve Renewade's just done its job.
Yeah.
And it would likely be combo fodder at this stage anyway.
Yeah.
Koi is an interesting inclusion. Do you know if he boarded that in for this game or if that's like a main deck card?
No, I keep that in the main board. It's an easy drop target. It's an easy drop target to pick on your unawakened side. You're going to mill, so you're going to see it in the drop area. And especially with a lot of floodgate heavy effects and people arrival, and just there's a lot of
he was referring
ways to make that card work.
Tracy's deck. If you
it makes a lot of sense for U7 to run Koi, but it's interesting that Tracy is also running it.
Yeah, but it would be smart against a list like this. So even if he did sideboard it, it would still make sense. just because I do run a lot of counterplays and interactions on his turn.
Very true. We were just making that point too.
Yeah, reiteration.
Yeah, because it subs, 20Ks, right? And those Gokus are 19Ks. Resolve is a 10K, so yeah. Well, Resolve is respawn on your turn, though. So yeah, the Gokus, though, being a 19K would be under that.
And I do run the Videl counterplay since I'm running a 3-drop Unison, so it's pretty rough.
This is one of the interesting things where, without going to the full detail, matchups that don't go as long as others. Like we're used to seeing like 40-minute matches happen, just because it's best of one sideboard right now. But in a match like this, I didn't have to change the speed, so it's always fun just kind of like go back and watch it and kind of go, okay, cool. Why are you guys playing so slowly?
The footage isn't
bad. Yeah, that's kind of what I like. I mean, some greaser matches are fun to play, but I mean, I like playing aggressive. It's just a lot easier and simpler that way. Let me win, or you can win.
Doesn't matter. Within 20 minutes, one of us is going out
to dinner.
I know this glizzy spot down the road.
Ooh.
So we got 4. So we got 4 energy. Looks like he has about 6 cards in his hand. Is he on his second swing right now, or? Oh, okay. I see a card he might want to play. Question is he gonna go the Gohan route or not? It's not a guarantee, unfortunately, win unless he's able to establish one more card, and you do have a hand to combo stuff out of. And with 4 life, if he does play the Gohan, that's only 3 more attacks.
Yeah, it would be smart to just wipe the board, and that would be the only option he really has. But he does run the Return of the Dragon Fist. I don't know if it's in his hand or not, but there is a couple lines of play he can do.
Yeah, I see he had Charge on turn 3, and unfortunately, at that point, I kind of been in the same boat where it's like, I'm not seeing Unison. None of my searches are working right now. What's the point of me even potentially playing this in crowning?
You have to, right?
No, I agree.
Punishing.
But at the same time, I just realized, like, if he would have played the Gohan, he would have popped 3 cards, I think? 4 cards?
Yeah. If he had access to that Unison, it totally would have been worth
He does. It's in his hand.
Yeah. Maybe he felt like he would need all of his energy for defense, but with 4 energy, I'm paying 3 for the Gohan, leaving 1 up for Black Kamehameha, and just maybe swinging with lead and just trying to hang on for another turn, because
his reasoning when we talked about it was he could have played the Gohan, but he said he would not have gone into the -3. He would have just +1 and kept it up for defense.
Yeah. Even with that, popping 4 cards and having a defensive card in your turn, and it looks like he had actually not only a Steadfast Ally, but also Vegeta in his hand. So it's potentially 2 more blockers he can establish in one turn that's causing your cards to be tapped on play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at this point, he's been thwarted at every turn. Didn't really get very good searches off the top when his leader was unawakened, and maybe just isn't thinking as clearly, like, in terms of like card advantage and things.
And sometimes that happens, unfortunately. It does put you in that mindset.
Oh, I'm very susceptible to it.
Yeah, and now at this point, I mean, I know what's in his hand. I know I can go safe. At this point, I can grab whatever card I want out of the drop area. So,
what if he grabs a hatch though from his life?
That is a possibility.
No,
or he just flexes and plays Pan.
I saw on that very first search, I think it was like the second card was his secret rare, which is he plays the Gohan Piccolo in this deck. The fact that it was the second card was really rough.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've played a deck that like searches. I mean, I play AOD, so obviously it happens every time I play it. But like, you search the top 5 cards, and I always see the secret rare like 50% of the time, like in that top 5. I'm like, well, damn it! If only I would just swung first with something that drew me a card or played a card that drawed me a card like beforehand, it would have been better. But,
Oh man.
Oh, he had 3 go-ons. Oof. Oh, that's rough. But with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Keep on his buttons down below. And you know what? You both do such a good job at closing videos. How about you guys do it together?
So, in this life, you can read your cards. You can know your plays.
But you can't pick your friend's nose.
Yeah, and let us make the mistake so that you don't have to.
Is picking your friend's nose a mistake?
Fluff out.
I just have to ask.
Fluff out.
Fluff out.
Just one more time.
Fluff
Out.